Can you tell me about how you know the Llamas family?
I got involved with the Llamas family about a day after Miss Llamas went missing, and I led a lot of the searches, helped them coordinate it, and I've been involved with them ever since.
Frank, will you talk to me about what happened today?
Today, the family did receive a phone call. Um, September 18, 2021, human remains, only a skull, were found by dove hunters on a property across the street from the flea market where Miss Llamas went missing. Um, Ever since then, initially the remains were unable to be identified because of unable to extract enough DNA locally. So the remains were sent to University of North Texas, and um, here we are 60 months later, and they finally got the connection and the confirmation that the remains found indeed were hers.
Can you talk to me about what this means for her family, for her children, and everything like that?
They're heartbroken, of course. Initially, when the remains were found, um, I believe, and I've spoken with every one of them, um, in their hearts, they didn't want it to be her, but in their minds, and I said the same thing, it has to be her. The proximity of where the remains were found, where she went missing, we had partially searched that property. We had an incident where a searcher was hurt, so we had to remove ourselves and remove her to get her treatment. Uh, the owner did not allow us back on the property. Um, Here we are, 16 months ago, dove hunters, with permission, were on the property and they were able to find the remains. The family's heartbroken, all of them. Um, when I spoke with each one of them today, all the grandkids were there. There was probably 20, 25 people in the home. All immediate family, sons, daughters, grandkids, loved ones, all close family. But they're heartbroken. Uh, Husband, dad to the kids. Um, Certainly, he's always had a smile on his face. I did know today there were a couple of instances where he didn't have a smile on his face, but with so many grandkids and everyone trying to keep him upbeat, he managed to smile here and there.
Do you think the family was still holding out hope that one day she would come back and be able to tell them where she was all this time?
Realistically, she was in late stages of Alzheimer's, um, and we talked about it several times. The condition that she was in, and looking at history for Alzheimer's patients, um, this long, probably not. In the early days, yes. In the early days, we were very hopeful. Months, couple of years, we were all very hopeful. But as time moved on, it became very obvious that this was going to be the end. Somehow, this was going to be the end. It was only a matter of time, and today was that day.
And this property where her remains were found, the skull was found, uh, after those remains were found, was there further search for other remains, or how are police conducting that search?
No, there were once those were located, there was a very immediate area search. However, we are hoping and pushing that a search team or SAPD or the family can get back on the property and do a more thorough search with other outlying areas, not knowing could an animal have picked up the skull and moved it some distance. So at this point, we're hopeful that we or a search team or someone will be able to get on the property and do a very thorough search. And hopefully that's the case.
And this is private property, correct?
It is private property, it is a commercial property. There are some operations going on the property, and I believe it may have several partitions or fences um, across some of the property. So it's not easy access. It is not public access.
Right. Can you have SAPD speculated at all what her cause of death might be?
No, and I don't think I really don't think they will. And we spoke we as her and the family and myself looking at since it was only the skull. We don't know what condition it was at at this point because initially and locally they weren't able to get any DNA. Our thought is that it had been out in the elements quite a while, for a long period, several years probably. Not having any other details as to condition, I don't think that would ever be known. But we spoke about it, and at this point, if SAPD or the missing persons unit has any details, medical examiner's office information, certainly the family would love to know, but I don't see that happening.
And Frank, if you will, can you talk about why it took so long for this lab at the University of North Texas to positively identify that this is Maria?
And I believe we spoke about it. We spoke about that locally with other cases as well. There's so many things that come into play. If the skull was out in the elements for a long period of time, it starts to decay. It loses its I guess it's liquid or whatever DNA material. However, it's held within the bones. So I've also heard of other cases where DNA extraction has been even harder, and it's taken many years. So minute, so many little minute details, so many cases in the past have taken a lot longer. Sadly, it took 16 months, but gladly, it only took 16 months. So it's just a matter of how your perspective. But at least today we know a definite in this case.
Absolutely. I think that closure, even if it's not the news the family wanted all this time, it is
Exactly.
closure. Do
Right.
you think this development in this case can maybe give hope for closure for other longtime missing person cases?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There are so many. I know personally of so many cases. I know the families, I know them personally. There are so many cases that I know eventually they will have a find and they will have closure, but it may be years, maybe many years. I know 20-year cases, 25-year cases, and we still don't have answers. They still haven't been found. But I know one day a contract worker, someone clearing land, somebody doing work on property is going to come across, and one family one day will have an answer, one at
Absolutely.
a time.
Frank, is there anything that the family wants us to know about Maria as we talk about her today?
Maria was a very faithful woman. She passed on. She left some good qualities with her family, every single one of them. The family basically says, thank you, San Antonio. Thank you, South Texas, for all you did for years. You helped us. We will repay you in many ways. The family says, thank you very graciously. Thank you.